Psalm 4 is an evening psalm that sets us up for a good night's sleep with these closing words. In peace I will lie down and sleep, for you alone, O Lord, will keep me safe. But that's not how the psalm begins at all. The opening words are a cry of personal lament. Answer me when I call you, O righteous God. Free me from my troubles. Have mercy on me and hear my prayer. The poet is in serious trouble, and his distress is compounded by personal attacks on his character, questioning his integrity and smearing his reputation. How long will you people ruin my reputation? How long will you make groundless accusations? How long will you continue your lies? This is a kind of social bullying long before the age of Facebook, and it stings. And did you notice the repeated question? How long? On top of the bullying is the fact that there is no end in sight. We can endure almost anything when we know when it will end, but when there's no end in sight, it's very unsettling. And that's exactly the reality that we are facing here in this global pandemic, that uncertainty. It can keep you awake at night. But our poet in this psalm does the right thing. Instead of fretting over his troubles and lashing out at the people who are slandering him, he brings his pain to God, convinced that God cares about his woes. And then he turns from the fog of uncertainty to something that he knows for sure. Verse 3 says, "You can be sure of this. The Lord has set apart the godly for himself. The Lord will answer when I call him." Instead of focusing on how others have snubbed and insulted him, he reminds himself that God cares about him, that God will answer, that God is actively pursuing a relationship with him. A few years ago, somebody gave me a 4-word phrase, I belong to God, which is a simple but amazing truth about God. I would repeat the phrase, I belong to God, slowly, several times, and I was astonished at the fresh insights that it gave me about God and about my relationship with him. I learned to fall asleep at night repeating the phrase, and it was a life changer for me, and I encourage you to practice it too. Later in the psalm, the poet also reflects on another question that is on everyone's mind these days, the question of financial security. In verse 6, he says, everyone is asking, who can ensure our prosperity? Does anyone have an answer for these financially troubled times? Talk about relevant questions. And again, look at how our poet responds. Not with hand-wringing or with an investment strategy for market uncertainty. Instead, he responds with a relational prayer. Let your face smile on us, Lord. That could be seen as a complete cop-out. But let me suggest, instead of focusing on what he doesn't have, which seems to be the focus on everyone else's mind, the poet chooses to focus instead on what he does have, namely a God who has a father's face, a God whose smile is seen in 1,000 gifts, some material and other gifts even more precious. The more you dwell on what you do have, the more overwhelmed you will be by joy, gratitude, appreciation, and a sense of privilege. God, when you smile on me, I have more joy in my heart than any guarantee of a paycheck. Your gift of joy in my heart is a huge gift. Well, friends, there's a lot more in this psalm, including 6 imperatives like doctor's orders in the middle of the psalm, which I would encourage you to reflect on. But for now, I leave you with this advice from Psalm 4. Go to bed intentionally placing yourself in God's care, knowing that you are secure in his power, his generosity, and his love. Fall asleep counting your blessings. You will find that your stress level will subside, your heart rate will drop, and you will sleep with a deeper sense of peace and joy than if you wrestle all night trying to solve tomorrow's problems. Take care.